Hey everyone, and welcome to the deep dive. You know how we do things around here, right? We pick a topic and we dive deep.
That's right. No surface level stuff.
And today's topic is, well, it's a film, a 1997 political thriller called Shadow Conspiracy.
Oh yeah. This one's well, let's just say it's a bit of a hidden gem.
It's got action, intrigue, and
I'm in Charlie Sheen.
oh yeah, did I mention that?
You did not.
Well, Charlie Sheen stars in this thing.
Yeah. And it's pretty interesting to see him in this kind of role, especially considering where his career went later on.
Definitely. For those of you who don't know, Shadow Conspiracy is about a government conspiracy.
Very timely for today's world, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And, I always find it fascinating how pop culture reflects the anxieties of the time.
Right. Like in the 90s, there was this huge fascination with government conspiracies. Think the Pelican Brief or Air Force One.
All tapping into that same vein of suspicion. Shadow Conspiracy fits right into that. But it adds this layer of technological intrigue that I think you'll find particularly interesting.
Absolutely. And it's not just Sheen carrying the torch. We've got Linda Hamilton from Terminator and the always fantastic Donald Sutherland rounding out the
A
cast.
powerhouse cast for sure.
And the director.
George P. Cosmatos, the man who brought us Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
So we're talking about a director who knows his way around an action scene.
Definitely not afraid of explosions and high-stakes chases.
Okay, so Shadow Conspiracy sets the scene with a high-ranking government official.
Being targeted for assassination.
And Sheen's character, he gets thrust into this massive conspiracy to try to stop it.
But it's not just a simple action movie.
Yeah.
It tries to grapple with the anxieties of the time, the end of the Cold War, uncertainty about the government.
Yeah, and all of that set against this backdrop of rapidly changing technology.
Definitely. And Shadow Conspiracy dives headfirst into that uncertainty. Makes you question who you can trust.
So it's got those classic thriller elements.
Yeah. But it also has something to say about the world we live in.
And what's even more fascinating is that the film itself was ahead of its time technologically.
They were one of the first to use drones in filmmaking, believe it or not.
Drones? Really? Back in 97?
Yep. And they weren't just using them as a gimmick. They were using drones for these big, sweeping, establishing shots.
Wow. Talk about ambition.
It definitely gives you a sense of the filmmaker's vision.
Even though it wasn't necessarily a critical darling.
It wasn't. But it's gained a cult following over the years. People are still talking about it, you know?
I can see why. It's got action, intrigue, and those anxieties about power and technology that are still so relevant today. Plus, the cast alone is a draw.
For sure. And speaking of memorable moments, there's one scene, I won't spoil it, where they have motorcycles
Motorcycle?
riding in an elevator.
Wait, what? Motorcycles in an elevator? Okay, you've got to be kidding me.
I'm completely serious. It's pure action movie craziness. And it perfectly captures the film's spirit, this blend of ambition and
paranoia.
exactly. Okay, so I think we've set the stage pretty well. Let's dig into the film's themes now. What were they really trying to say about power, government, and this whole conspiracy angle?
Yeah, and how does that connect to the dynamics between Sheen and Hamilton's characters? There's definitely a lot to unpack there.
Let's unpack it then.
Okay, so we've got Charlie Sheen, we've got a government conspiracy.
And motorcycles in an elevator. What more could you ask for?
Let's dive in.
Well, it plays with that classic trope, you know, innocent man on the run.
Like The Fugitive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here, it's not just about Sheen's character, clearing his name.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
Right. He stumbles onto this huge conspiracy, one that goes all the way to the top.
The highest levels of government.
And that's where it gets really interesting, this exploration of power. Who has it? Who abuses it?
Especially with the technology angle.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, this is 1997.
Pre-internet.
Well, widespread internet.
Yeah.
And smartphones. But you can see these anxieties bubbling up.
About data collection.
Government overreach. It's all there.
They even have these clunky, like, proto-smartphones.
Used for tracking and spying.
It's almost eerie how it foreshadows our current world.
Right. It's like they had this glimpse into the future, the digital surveillance state.
Makes you think. So the film's got these big ideas.
But it also has this great dynamic between Sheen and Hamilton's characters.
Yeah. How does that play into all of this? The power dynamics, the conspiracy.
Well, on the surface, it seems like your typical action movie pairing.
Tough hero.
Strong female lead.
But there's more to it than that, right?
Definitely. Hamilton's character, she's not just there to be rescued.
She's a skilled operative.
She challenges Sheen's character, pushes him to think critically.
Now it's a partnership.
Exactly. A sense of mutual respect. And that's, I think, what the film's trying to say about individual agency.
Challenging authority.
Not blindly trusting those in power.
But asking questions. Holding them accountable.
Which is so relevant to today's world, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, but let's be real. The film wasn't a hit when it came out.
No, it wasn't. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe it was just ahead of its time.
Perhaps. Or maybe it was trying to do too much.
Straddling that line between action and social commentary?
Could be. But I think the pacing might have something to do with it, too.
A little uneven at times.
Yeah, and some of those plot twists are, well, a little predictable.
By today's standards.
Right. But there's still something about it that's so engaging.
That energy.
That charm.
And the cast.
Oh, the cast is phenomenal. Sheen, Hamilton, Sutherland, they all give it their all.
Even if the material isn't always top-notch.
But, hey, you can't deny those action sequences. Pure entertainment.
The motorcycle in the elevator.
I know, right? It's so ridiculous.
But so memorable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's those moments that make it so much fun to watch.
Okay, so we've talked about the good, the bad. We've talked about the themes, the historical context. But what about our listener? Would you recommend Shadow Conspiracy to someone who's clearly interested in government and technology?
It's tough to say. I mean, it's not a perfect film.
Right.
But if our listener's interested in, surveillance and how technology can be used for control,
Yeah.
I think there's something here for them.
Like a historical perspective.
Yeah, like a snapshot of what people were worried about back then.
Before the internet really took off.
Exactly, like those early anxieties about the digital age.
And some of the tech in the film is so clunky now.
It is, but that almost makes it more interesting to watch.
Like a time capsule.
Right.
Plus, it's not just about the tech.
Right.
It's about those bigger questions.
Like national security versus individual freedom.
Which is something I know our listener is interested in.
For sure.
And Shadow Conspiracy really dives into those themes.
It does in this kind of over-the-top, dramatic way.
It's definitely not subtle.
But that's part of the fun.
Totally.
Mm.
And hey, sometimes you just need a movie that embraces the absurd.
Right. Like motorcycles in an elevator.
Exactly. So what's the final verdict? Watch it. Skip it.
I'd say if you're in the mood for a 90s action thriller.
With a bit of a political edge.
Definitely.
Give it a shot.
Don't go in expecting a masterpiece, though.
Right. It's more of a cult classic.
Exactly. A glimpse into a different time.
And that, my friends, is our deep dive into Shadow Conspiracy.
We covered a lot of ground, didn't we?
We did. Charlie Sheen government conspiracies.
Drones, motorcycles, and elevators.
A whole 9 yards.
But I think the biggest takeaway for me
Yeah.
is how this film from 1997 can still speak to us today.
About power, technology, and freedom.
Those themes are timeless.
Absolutely. And to our listener, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Did this deep dive pique your interest?
Are you going to watch Shadow Conspiracy?
Let us know.
We always love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.